Hello, Knights Brigade. I'm Knight 6, and today I'm joined by the 16th Sustainment Brigade Safety Officer, Mr. Philip Merchant. And today's podcast is focused on safety and risk management. ATP 5-19 is the Army's governing regulation or policy on risk management. And today we're going to focus more specifically on deliberate and real-time risk management at the leader level. Risk management is how we stay ready, tied to the Chief of Staff of the Army's #1 priority, readiness. It's how we think, it's how we maintain our combat power. It ensures efficient mission accomplishment, and really it's how we take care of our most precious resource, which is our people, our soldiers, families, civilians, and our allies. Phil, would you mind talking about the difference between deliberate and real-time risk management?
Yes, ma'am. The deliberate risk management, we mostly do in the planning stage. The real-time risk management kind of comes in after we've done that. So after we've done our risk management worksheets and we're accomplishing the mission that we're setting out to do. If hazards come up, it's relaying those back from, the individual on the front line back to the leader, and then being able to change and make a different plan as you go along.
Yeah, and I think in the phase that you address risk management is really important. It ties back to the principles of risk management. And the first one is really integrating risk management into all phases, whether it be planning, preparation, execution, or the assessment phase. The second principle of risk management is really ensuring that we make decisions at the appropriate level. So if we have a low level of risk, the company commander is signing off on that risk assessment. If there's moderate or medium risk, it's going to the battalion commander for assessment. High risk is coming to the brigade commander, and then extremely high is going to the first general officer in the chain of command to ensure that we have not only mitigated risk, but made appropriate risk decisions.
Yes, ma'am.
The third principle is really accepting no unnecessary risk, which to me is really the first principle, ensuring that we don't take unnecessary risk when the cost doesn't really outweigh the benefit. And then the final principle is really applying risk management continuously or cyclically throughout the entire process, really tying back to the front or the first principle, which is integrating into all phases of the operation. Phil, would you mind talking about the risk management steps?
Yes, ma'am. The first step is going to be identify the hazard.
And this is really important, I think, for a lot of the recent risk and safety challenges that we've had inside the brigade. I'd like to talk about redeployment because there's been a series there, but really identifying the hazards before you get on the road for redeployment, whether it's the breakdown procedures, the road conditions, the weather, but before leaders put those formations on the road, it's important to identify the hazards.
Yes, ma'am. And then after you've identified those hazards, you want to assess them.
Really, so looking at the routes and assessing maybe how narrow the roads are going to be, or if you have two-lane highways, or what time of day or night you may be driving, and assessing those hazards before making the decision.
Yes, ma'am. And then coming to develop controls and make risk decisions.
And this is really important for leader engagement, for leaders to find ways to develop the controls and mitigate the risk, and then really assess what the risk level is going to be so the appropriate leader can make the right decision.
Yes, ma'am. And after he's made those decisions, it's about implementing controls.
And this is also a really important leader engagement piece, is really doing in the convoy brief or finding ways along the route to implement the controls, whether it's more breaks or driving during the day instead of night, but really implementing the controls that the leader has identified to mitigate the risk.
Yes, ma'am. And finally, it's supervise and evaluate.
Which really goes on throughout the entire process, but whether it's at the rest over the night or a rest stop, or even while they're driving, the supervisor engaged in ensuring that we stay safe and mitigate risk along the way. Leaders doing deliberate and real-time risk management is just another way that the 16th Sustainment Brigade sustains a strong Europe.